Let's take a look back at that Tennessee-Kentucky game and discuss if Tennessee's tournament ready. First, we get to 4 downs, and it's brought to you by our good friends at Dynasty Pools and Spas. Their showroom in Athens is fantastic, and they deliver.
4 Downs brought to you by Dynasty Spas, the most comfortable spas made in the United States of America, right here in East Tennessee. Drop in for the all-new showroom in Athens. Dynasty Spas, perfect for all 4 seasons. 4 Downs, presented by Off the Hook Sports.
Alrighty, so 4 downs. We'll hop in the hot tub with Coop.
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
First down, Coop.
Coop here. First down.
Thank you very much. Did Kentucky reveal anything? Did they reveal how to beat Tennessee? Is anything public knowledge that wasn't public knowledge 3 days ago?
Absolutely not. They didn't. I mean, yeah, Kentucky revealed how to beat Tennessee by shooting, 53% from 3, having that little kid Shepard off the bench come in and go 7 of 10 from the 3-point line, having Edwards go 4 of 7 from the 3, having Austin Reeves go 3 of 5. Truth of the matter is Kentucky was red hot shooting, and Tennessee had exerted so much energy in those other 3 games. They didn't show the defensive aggression they typically are able to show in games. And they still would have pulled it out if Kentucky wasn't the hottest team in the world on Saturday. So, no, they didn't reveal any formula to beat Tennessee.
Now, they kind of exposed themselves as being underachievers because Kentucky is incredibly athletic down low. They don't like to play defense until Saturday, basically, and then they play defense in the front court. And the rest of the guys suddenly became great shooters. You're right, Roto22, shoot 90% from 3. You'll do pretty well there.
Also, were they really exposed themselves? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Did I?
Go ahead.
Where they really exposed themselves is how bad John Calipari is in closing out games in the last 2 minutes. I don't know how many times I've seen him almost blow a lead like that with the last 2 minutes, because when teams like bring in the full court press and switch up the defense, this isn't the first time he struggled to get the ball past half court. And he almost lost because of his terrible coaching in the last minute.
Well, now Travis brings up a good point. You mentioned Calipari. He should have gotten ejected. I thought so too, as well, from a couple of people that were at the game that said there were some very coarse language exchanges there. What down, Coop?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. All guard scoring. That's what Kentucky did, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. Their guard scored all of their points. So is that a newfound concern, perimeter defense?
No, I think Tennessee's perimeter defense is fine. I think it was just tired on Saturday. And I also think that, and again, this is a big part of it, I think it was mentally drained on Saturday. But more importantly, I think Kentucky was just that red hot. Look, I'll say this. Part of being an NCAA tournament team is you have to, and we'll talk about this, is you have to overcome any type of thing you can overcome. But look, I think the greatest teams of all time in college basketball would lose a game to a Kentucky team that shot like that from 3 on Saturday.
No, pretty good. All right. What down, Coop?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
Santiago Vescovi didn't score a point on senior day. Not a single point on senior day. Is it time to look at Vescovi and think that anything you get in March from him is basically a bonus? I hate to be mean because I know his grandmother passed away. I don't want to sound like a jerk, Caleb, but I got to be honest with you. I think this team right now, he's almost, well, he is. He's the spot-up shooter who is having trouble finding his way in this offense with a new scorer who can create. I think if they get a game in which they get 16 points out of him, they win easily. They win by 40 points in the NCAA tournament. But they could also win by 40 points and he scores 2, which seems more likely at this point.
I think Santiago Vescovi is the type of guy you keep out there because you just never know when you're going to have that moment where you need him, and then he just happens to be ready to go off that day. It reminds me of, Dave, you're a Celtics fan, so you remember this well. Ray Allen had to take a significant backseat to Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, didn't he, when he went to Boston?
Yes.
And he had major slumps, didn't he, in parts of the year because of that. But there was always that moment when things were going wrong and Ray Allen happened to be on shooting that day. Didn't that happen? And that's when he went to him.
Smoky Mountain Red read my mind. Speaking to a source close to the program and said that it just feels like something's mental with Santi. It just feels like whether it's emotional loss or he's still dealing with the loss of his grandmother, or it's that he's going to end up playing in Europe anyway, and the NBA is not a real option. Because, I mean, he didn't know who Tennessee was 5 years ago. I mean, let's be real frank, or 6 years ago before he was recruited. So I've got to wonder if he's able to turn it around in time for March and find his way. But it's a confidence issue. I don't have any doubt about it. So 4th down we'll get to. What down, Coop?
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
If the Vols lose a game like they lost on Saturday to a red-hot team, is that okay in the NCAA tournament? You just couldn't avoid it, and it's a single-loss elimination tournament. It's 4th down. 4 downs brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. Having the best spas made right here in the United States of America in your backyard. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Their showroom is open in Athens, right off the interstate. You can stop by and check out the best hot tubs and spas in the market. And then delivery, yes, they can do that to Knoxville or Chattanooga. They've got complete support, spa cover, and chemicals to keep your spa bubbling at its best. They also have pool chemicals as well. Dynasty Pools and Spas, amazing discounts for first responders, military, and even some blemish models that can save you a ton, and no one will ever notice. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Go to dynastypoolsandspas.com or stop by that showroom in Athens. dynastypoolsandspas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas. All right. What say you, Caleb? You're the one who's sounding like a little bit like a Rick Barnes apologist all of a sudden. And you don't seem to think there's any cause for big time concern about the Vols and the way they played against Kentucky. It was more what Kentucky did. So if the Vols get bounced early in the tournament by a team that's just red hot after the season they've had, let's say Sweet 16, is that okay?
No, because it's different if they get bounced in the tournament with this happening. This was Tennessee playing, again, Tennessee had to play 4 straight top 15 teams. The first 3 were all de facto SEC regular season title elimination games, which was a goal. And 2 of them were on the road. They won all 3. They mentally drained themselves before facing Kentucky on Saturday. And then Kentucky got red hot shooting the ball. If Tennessee loses in the NCAA tournament, they won't have the excuse of having mentally drained themselves. Because here's the truth, and I am going to stick with this. As hot as Kentucky was shooting the ball, if Tennessee showed the aggression on the perimeter defense that they had shown all year, they still win that game on Saturday. It lacked on Saturday because they were so drained. They were ready for the conference tournament, the NCAA tournament. I give them a break on that because it's a regular season game. If that happens in the NCAA tournament, though, then that's a really big problem, and that'll go back to my other larger narrative, which is that Rick Barnes has not addressed depth the way he should on this team, and he's been running his starters too much. I think it was just one game. It was 3 ranked teams and 3 straight ranked teams that mentally drained them before the Kentucky game. They're not going to see that in the NCAA tournament. You know this, Dave. Tennessee's at 11 now. The first couple of rounds are going to see average opponents at best.
Nope, you're right. And Tennessee should not face another team unless they get a bad draw, till the Elite 8 or Final 4 that has any sort of athleticism like Kentucky, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're not going to get – it's really hard to see, at the very least, Elite 8. I'm with you. I think Tennessee now has now you put them in the West bracket as a number 1 seed, they could end up facing a tough number 4 seed. And if they're a number 2 seed anywhere else, they could face a tough number 3 seed. But I don't see – At the very least, the first weekend, that should be a breather for Tennessee, shouldn't it? The entire first weekend should be a breather.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. It should be a breather. But I do think you can – it's tough to say this with 30-plus years of Rick Barnes' coaching experience and history that we all know. You can still run into a red-hot shooting 16 seed or 15 seed. So I want to say it's okay in kind of a Tom Izzo mold, as he's lost early in the tournament before, but he's also had success in the tournament. So we don't think about that as much. He's won 2 national titles.
No, just
I
one.
want to say it's okay because that's the way the sport's played. But I'm with you, Caleb. I'm having a lot of difficulty thinking to myself. I'm even thinking a short week, a Thursday, Saturday, if they get that draw. Let's say they're a 2, and then they would play the winner of you just said
7 and 10, a winner of a 7 and 10 seed.
So now I'm gonna go with you. I don't think it's okay at all.
Well, and also remember this. Yes, a 16 seed that gets red hot shooting, or even a 7 to 10 seed that gets red hot shooting. There's no reason Tennessee shouldn't be able to match. Is not built to be able to match their scoring this year in the tournament. Which is to say, and that's where they're different from years past. Is they have in previous years they have those offensive dry spells under Rick Barnes. You know those times I'm talking about, right? Where they go 5 minutes without a bucket,
right?
And,
absolutely.
And so I think that's the difference with this team is if a team is red hot shooting the ball, Tennessee should have the horses to offensively keep up. They just should.
I agree. One other thing that I'm curious about with this Tennessee basketball team is I believe they found how to best use Dalton Knecht, though my concern is that there are times they rely on him a little bit too much. Caleb, is that a concern? Brought to you by our friends at BetUS. BetUS, 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Click right below your first 3 deposits. BetUS, and you get the 10% gambler's insurance as well. Click right below. BetUS. Caleb, thoughts?
I don't think it's that big of a deal how much they rely on Dalton. People are saying that, but like we're forgetting Zakai Ziegler scored 17 points on Saturday. I know Dalton Knecht scored 40, had a heck of a game. But Zakai Ziegler did score 17, and Jonas Aidoo had 11 points and 8 rebounds. By the way, first game Tennessee lost in the SEC play where Jonas Aidoo scored double figures all year. But yeah, I gotta say that I don't think the problem was that. I think they want that from Dalton Knecht because he can just score at will so much. I think the problem that stood out to them was their perimeter defense. Kentucky just shot red hot, and their perimeter defense was a concern, was a bit of an issue. I don't think that perimeter defense is going to be that much of an issue when tournament time comes. I mean, this team still scored 81 points. So they still showed up offensively. Now you can make the case, and Dave, I think you have, that Kentucky, this is not your typical Coach Calipari team, and that they don't play defense well at all. So maybe they should score 81 points. Maybe they should have scored more than 81 points in that regard.
Well, they decided they were a bad defensive basketball team until Saturday, and suddenly they became a good team. So I think there was a little bit of a revenge factor from the rough loss, and I get that.